not give up on your legal status. Many people fail to respond to RFE or file an application before the deadline. This is why we offer a strategy session for 15 minutes at no cost to you. Not everyone qualifies. First, you need to speak with our CARES team. We receive many requests, so we recommend you answer a few questions on our website, greencardguys.com. Our mission is to help people live and work in America legally. Go ahead and subscribe below and follow and share. Talk to you soon. Good afternoon. Today we're going to share some hot tips on employment-based sponsorship. And my name is John Ting. Welcome to Green Card Guys TV. And look, you can share your experience down below in the comment section or ask any questions. We're happy to answer questions. We're here live on LinkedIn, Facebook, YouTube, Instagram, and TikTok. So we're going to see how we can help you out, point you in the right direction, if anything. And because it fulfills our mission to help you live and work in America legally. So here, let's get down to it. There's usually at least 3 main tips I want to share related to employment-based. Of course, there's a lot more, but to generalize as much as possible. The first thing, right now it's nearly the end of November. So guess what's coming up? The H-1B registration period. And that is typically the first 2 to 3 weeks of March. And you might think, oh, John, I don't got to worry about that. I got a sponsor. No worries. Well, actually, you really do need to worry, because even if you think you have a sponsor now, well, did you actually talk to HR about this? Do they know? Okay, you need to talk to them. Okay. Now, here's really tip number 1. Okay. If you're still in school, more power to you. Hopefully you don't have senioritis, but if you're still in school and you're about to graduate in May of 2024, you're still eligible to actually get registered by a company in March, a couple months before you graduate and you walk the stage. I know it's kind of weird, but you can. So if you're on an HR perspective, you work for a company, you're your own startup company, entrepreneur. Yes, if you meet someone who could be a candidate, future employee of your company, and you realize, oh, this person's foreign national, want to make sure that they get the legal status they need, you need to know this. We don't want to mislead anyone. You shouldn't be misled by anyone. H-1B registration used to be called something a lottery. I still think it's a lottery because it's a random selection. And unfortunately, it doesn't matter if your candidate has a 4.0, 4.5 GPA. That does not matter. Okay. It's completely random. What the minimum requirement is a bachelor's degree. Okay. Now, if someone has a master's degree, then you can qualify under it, what we call an exemption. So that's a good thing, because if you don't get selected in the master's degree allotment, then yours can get bumped down to the bachelor's degree allotment. All right. So keep the questions coming. I'm going to answer them soon. I just want to go through the top 3 tips. So the second tip, okay, is that don't give up. Don't give up, because we just helped several applicants that got selected in the second round of H-1B. Okay. And so that was due at the end of October. And we just got that approved from USCIS, I believe, last week. So it took less than a month. And we didn't, the client did not want to pay extra $2,500 for premium processing. And it's okay. And fortunately, it worked out. That got the approval letter, approval notice in less than 1 month. So wonderful news for them. But don't give up, because let's say you do get selected you don't get selected in the first round in end of March, and you're wondering, shoot, I wonder, what are my prospects? Maybe you have to go back, your OPT expired, you got to go back to your country. Don't give up, because even if you don't get selected in March, you could get selected in the future, if there's a second round. Now, some attorneys I've talked to have some thoughts based on the data that maybe there could be a third round this year for this past fiscal year, but I don't know. That's tough to say. And usually there's a second and third round, because the people who were selected in the first round, they typically didn't follow through. And maybe the company didn't want to continue the process because they're like, oh, you didn't get selected in the first round, so see you later. Or vice versa. It could have been both ways. Maybe the person was selected through a different company. So anyway, because there's a concern that there's some fraud, okay, related to H-1B and multiple registrations of one person, and it was not a bona fide job offer. So I know USCIS is looking into that. So that's a second tip. Don't give up. The third one today, folks, is that not related to H-1B, but the EB, okay? Because there are a lot of people that get sponsored, let's say through H-1B, through a company, right? And you show your work ethic, they show that you're valued to the company. Excuse me about the sneeze. Okay, I thought it was excuse me. And then the companies ends up saying, sure, we're going to sponsor you for EB, for employment base. But usually by that time, there has been no discussion with the immigration attorney on that's essentially the pros and cons, essentially, okay? Because you have to show to Department of Labor and US or USCIS later on, much later on, it's typically at least a year later, that your work experience, it, that the experience you got from that company that's sponsoring you is 50% or less of the requirement on the job posting. So, for example, if the company requires 2 years of minimum experience of that, whatever position, that you don't have more than 1 year of that experience from the same company that's sponsoring you. Okay. So, most people don't think about that because that's not, stated prominently on the USCIS website. Okay, folks. So, that's the third tip. So that's just way far in advance, but that's something that we bring up to the forefront on day one of the strategy session, because we would hate for you to go through the entire process, essentially almost the entire process, and then towards the end, USCIS denies you because didn't catch that one little thing. Okay, the one little thing. So that's why it's very important if you're an HR, especially, or you run your own company, you don't have HR yet. It's important to have a partner as an immigration attorney, as a partner to help you with these things. Okay, because some of y'all will kick yourselves in the foot. You should have talked to an immigration lawyer. And some immigration lawyers don't want to talk with y'all. So that's why maybe, at least not until you like sign the contract. We're not about that, okay? We want to share the information. As you can see, we're in the live show on so many platforms. We are very happy to share information so you make the right decision for yourselves, whether you work for a company in HR or you're the applicant, you're the foreign national applicant, okay? Because we know you have to both sides have a lot of major decisions to make when you're considering something like this, okay? The bonus tip, the fourth tip here, actually for companies, more so companies, is that try your best not to make a job offer until you speak to an immigration attorney. I'm not saying that don't show interest in the foreign national applicant, the employee candidate, but because a dollar amount could get a little awkward, right? Because there's something what we call prevailing wage determination. That is a step that is required to file for employment based. In terms of H-1B, we don't have to file a form for that. However, we do have to research and take a look at it. All right. So let's say that and it's based on prevailing wages, essentially based on the metropolitan area, so the metro and the position. So, of course, y'all know if you live on the East Coast or West Coast, the wage amount is going to be higher than like somewhere like Texas. Okay. So, if you're hiring someone, let's say in Texas, let's say the position's $50,000, but you offered 40,000, that's going to be awkward. Or like if, let's say the company is on a budget, but you offered 60,000, but really you could have offered a little bit less, so it can go both sides. Okay. So that's why it just makes sense that a company or HR, or if you run your own company on your own, that you talk to immigration lawyer. Now, I don't know if other law firms are willing to share this information with you in advance, but we're happy to do it. Okay. We want to make sure you make the right decision for yourselves, and so you can move forward and help our mission to help y'all live and work in America legally. All right. So let's get down to answer some questions. I'm going to hop off of, okay, I don't see any questions from LinkedIn. So I'm going to hop off of LinkedIn real quick. Okay, here we go. Here we go. So happy Wednesday, Tony. Good to see you. Brulan, yeah, you're welcome. Happy to share. Jack, is there a time limit to apply for GC at the consulate abroad after VAWA was approved? Does approved VAWA expire? You know what? I don't know the answer to that question because I should know, right? But I don't recall anyone of my colleagues mentioning any kind of deadline per se. If anything, yours got lost in the mail. You're not sure if it's approval or denial. Oh, okay. Well, been 6 months now. Well, hopefully you have the receipt notice. I mean, the receipt notice with the number and submit inquiry. Because yeah, maybe online it shows a decision was mailed, but it didn't. It doesn't typically does not say like approval or denial, but a decision was mailed. So you definitely want to submit inquiry if you haven't done so already. I'm assuming you have on the USCIS website, because typically if they know that you're already abroad based on the form, what you selected, what you put on the form, then within a month time, if it was approved, then it's supposed to get sent to the National Visa Center. Okay, just like any other family or any other case. But maybe they don't know you're abroad. So yeah, but good call, because if it's been 6 months since the decision or 6 months since filing, good luck to you, Jack. Tammy, can you apply if you're out of status in the USA? If you're referring to employment-based case application, it's possible, but it's going to be difficult. Okay, we recommend that you have a qualifying relative for the purpose of a waiver, and so most y'all won't have a qualifying relative, because if you had a spouse, then you would most people would think, well, will my spouse just sponsor me? Forget the employment-based pathway. Um, Interesting enough, we have some people who are married to someone that has status, but don't want to go through the process through them because, I guess they don't want to be, just tied to that status with that person, I suppose. Maybe they didn't actually find the right match, so they just want to go through a company. I get it. But in terms of if you're here in the United States without any status right now, you overstayed. The issue is two major things. Okay, most people who ask this question have filed asylum, and yes, filing asylum does stop the clock for unlawful presence, but it does not fix or cure the issue of failure to maintain status, which is an issue for the 485 when you file in the United States. That's the main thing. EB3 versus TN. So TN, you might know, is for nationals of Mexico or Canada. Nationals. So in that sense, TN is a non-immigrant visa, meaning it's a temporary visa that can be renewed unlimited. Okay, there's no limitation at all, fortunately. Whereas EB3 is for residency, for resident status. So if you're thinking that you just want to just work a little bit in America, then TN would be the way. It's limited to a specified type of occupations. It's not for any type of job. It's limited. We have a list on our website. If you go to greencardguys.com, you can take a look. Otherwise, EB3, I mean, we have clients that are in America right now for TN, and then eventually get the process started for EB3. So yeah, you can start with TN first if you're eligible. Alrighty. What's going on? How y'all doing, Instagram? It's been a minute, folks. I was not on live yesterday because I had a trial yesterday. I posted a little snippet about it yesterday. Well, I guess I didn't have trial. I still had to go to court. Can you apply out of the USA? You mean outside? Yes, you can actually. In fact, some of y'all say like, oh, maybe you have a petition on file by your sibling, and most folks have to wait at least in general 10 years through a sibling petition. So with that being said, why wait? It's so nice that your sibling sponsored you, at least started the process, but it's a hell of a long time. So yes, try it. If you're abroad, try to get a company to sponsor you from America, right? Because in general, I mean, as long as you're not from China, India, I mean, Mexico and the Philippines have not as long of a wait time, but if you're from China, India, they have a much longer wait time, um, even after the approval of the first set of steps. But in general, 2 years, okay? Whereas being sponsored by a sibling is going to take like 10 years. Will my dad's petition for your brother's case move faster if becomes a citizen? Not necessarily. So depends the status of your the scenario, the facts of your brother. Is he married, or not, or is he over 21 or not? So it just depends. But let me see if I can pull up the visa bulletin to give you kind of an idea. Okay. Shout out to Maria for helping us on pinning some of these comments. Maria, if you see their follow up comment, please let me know and pin that. All right, folks. How are y'all doing today? Sorry, y'all have to hear my raspy voice. All right, so I'm looking at the December visa bulletin. Okay, Amora, you didn't renew your DACA. Ooh, okay. Will that affect your chance for green card approval? You're married to a citizen. Congrats on the marriage. It's always a difficult decision, so congrats on that decision and wish you all the best. Now, in terms of green card approval, yeah, we look at eligibility, right, in the strategy session if you were to call us. But by the way, folks, we do offer strategy session for 15 minutes, can be longer if you want, at no cost to you, okay? Because we want to make sure that if you're gonna, especially if you do this on your own, okay, we can't walk you through the entire process. That would just, you would just need to hire us for that, right? But we can at least make sure you're eligible in general. All right. So in general, you have to show that you've been admitted into the country, United States. And so typically it's a visa, like a visitor visa, a J, what could be J1, it could be H1B, could be F1, a student visa. But if you didn't, it could be parole or DACA, but only DACA if you already got advanced parole and you actually traveled. So it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to have DACA right now, but if you had DACA in the past and you got AP and you traveled and you came back in, then you should be good. All right, Amora. So hopefully that helps. Um, of course, assumption that you, since you have DACA, you didn't enter with the visa. Alrighty. Let's see. What's going on? Where y'all from? Where y'all watching from? Let me know what's going on. Okay, can you apply for unskilled GC as F1 student? Um, I think you mean EB3, unskilled position. You can. Could you do it as a student? I really recommend, since you're already F1, to try to get H1B if you have a degree or you're about to have a degree. So it just can depend on timing. It's just hard to say recommend EB3, but it's possible. But if I'm looking at a situation where you want to have all the possibilities, all the eggs in the basket, essentially, you want to use all of them. So it just depends on your timing. Because the purpose of doing this when you have F1 is to maintain your status through the whole thing, right? EB3. But it's hard to say that a company would need someone who has some kind of experience, even though it's an unskilled position, when you're still in college, university, unless you have that experience before from abroad or something, right? So everyone's situation is a bit different on that. Amoria, yes, luckily you came legally. Oh, legally, okay. And you have your visa paperwork. You lived here for 25 and never left. Married 3 years. Okay, great. So it wasn't a recent marriage. So you passed the 6-month mark. Okay, is that an unspoken rule, by the way? 6 months and you're good to go. Okay, don't look back now. Okay, glad you came legally. All right, so that's good. Can you upgrade J1 to green card? The first thing we look at for J1, yes, in general, okay, to your question, Mo, but you have to see if your passport has a 2-year restriction, if there's a 2-year stamp on that. Not everyone who has J1 visa has that 2-year restriction. Essentially, J1 is a visa program, right, for your country and the United States. So depending on the country of nationality or the country, some people have to return. Okay, not everyone. I don't know. It's a little strange how they determine that, but you would have to return. Okay, so for residency purposes, all right. So you can't come back for 2 years. So, however, there are, I believe, four different ways to waive that 2 year restriction. For example, one of them is to show you could suffer persecution in your country of nationality. Um, so that's one of the common ways. Or the other common way is through show hardship, as if it was like a hardship waiver, essentially. All right. So hopefully that helps you out. Hopefully you don't even have the 2 year restriction. So check out your passport. Bolu Wafti. Um, Bolu Wafti mentioned something about a Cisco certification. I'm not sure. I don't have a list of companies, but however, we're thinking working with a sister company to share what they're going to do. And they're going to essentially, you can apply like any other website, apply for a job. You share your information on your skills, certifications, and with the hopes that a company on the other side of the website that they see your resume, see your work experience, and that they select you for an interview at least, right? But the whole purpose of this is to not waste time, okay? Because let's say you go through the standard website, let's say like I don't know, just any of them. I'm not going to mention the names because I'm not sponsored by them. But let's say you apply to another website. As far as I understand, there's no question about like foreign, like if you have status or you're foreign national. In fact, I don't believe they should ask you that. Okay, so that's why the sister company, it would be the companies that would use this website would already know that okay, we have to sponsor this person, right? But companies are looking for very specific type of experience talent, right? So but I understand how companies think. HR, they don't have that much time recruiting, so that's why they have to even hire recruitment, we call it headhunters to do this, the front end of the work for them. So want to team up with another sister company to see if they can assist y'all with that. Okay, save time for both parties. If you're interested in that, DM us and we'll fill you in the future. Okay. Greatly appreciated. Okay, Ace, you've been waiting for prevailing wage for 2 years. 2 years. That doesn't sound right. Prevailing wage, step number one, 2 years. But yeah, in general, it is backlogged, but that doesn't sound right. Okay, DM us. Okay, if you let us know, Ace. Okay, that doesn't sound right. It's you. If it's EB, 4 to 6 months. If it's H1B, it's closer to like a month. But for H1B, they tend to work a little faster because they have to for the registration and whatnot and the deadline. But EB, there's no deadline. Well, there are many deadlines, but it's the first step. So there's no deadline in that sense. Okay. But they both go through the Department of Labor. So hopefully that gives you an idea. All right, D, what's going on? If you're on F1 and married to a U.S. citizen, can you apply for work permit before a green card? So yeah, you actually apply for everything at once. You have F1, so it's safe to say that you entered with a visa, and so that's a good thing. Congrats on your marriage if you are married or engaged. Congrats to that. But yeah, typically before the pandemic, you would get the work permit before the green card. But in 2023, folks, some of our clients have been getting the green card before even the work permit, which is great because they've been processing it much faster. On average, our case this year for marriage-based case where someone entered the United States with a visa, or they didn't enter with a visa, but they haven't qualified for exception so they can stay here. It's been like 35 months. So that's very good news. But I can't promise for next year. We have no idea what 2024 is going to, what cards that they'll have for us, the Biden administration. So on that note, 2024 is coming up. The election is coming up, folks. The data shows that Biden should be the president again, but it requires people to vote, right? So we don't really know who's going to be president because if we had that magic ball, we had guessed, then we would have a more stability in the immigration system and policies. So if you're eligible for something right now or soon, don't wait, folks. We have some clients that have been married for several years, and we're like, "Yo, what you been doing? Like, you were eligible to apply for this long ago," and they get things happen in life. They get babies. They got a little excited, had a baby. They got excited again, had another baby. Things happen. I get it. Okay. But your status is on the line. And unfortunately, yes, the president has a lot of say in your ability to get legal status. So if you're eligible, don't wait. If you're, yes, Moy, if you're a US citizen, please vote in all elections possible when you have the time. Because, yo, if you're just sitting on the couch and it's election season, election week, please, they make it so easy for us. There's what do you call that? Like early voting. I was going to say pre voting, early voting, all these different scenarios to make it easy for you, okay, for us. But if you're not a citizen, if you're a resident or no status, please do not register to vote. Do not vote at all because that will put you in a lot of trouble, okay? It could put you in a situation, most likely puts a situation permanent bar. So that message to vote is only for US citizens, okay? Lloyd's, do they do interview for kids N600? Can you please explain the process? Um, typically no. Typically no, but I'm not sure what the processing time right now is for that. Typically it's an application, um, but I suspect it could take average 12 months. I suspect they also don't have an urgency to get cases like that approved like in 2 months or something. But you would think N600 for certificate should be just a rubber stamp situation. I wish I had the easy button approved if I work for the government or as a judge, but anyways, that's just me. I have a lot of opinions on how the US government should work for immigration, but they don't want to listen to me. I'm on all these platforms, not just for y'all, but for the government to actually listen to me. Hopefully, they can get some tips. Can you waive J1 visa? Yeah, it's possible. It is possible, but I just shared a little bit earlier some options. Okay, what's up, y'all? Folks, if you are new to the channel, welcome to greencardguys.tv. As you can see here, I do love to answer questions to the best of my ability. It is fairly quick fashion, so we offer 15 minutes strategy session, no cost to you, but you need to do a couple things, or you could do a couple things. You can give us a call right up here on Facebook and YouTube. You can see it there, or you can go to our website. All right, greencardguys.com. Okay. TikTok and Instagram, you can't see my number. They don't allow us to share it with you for some odd reason. So you can DM us, follow us so you can get our information, and we'll be happy to see if we can point you in the right direction. Now, there's no obligation to hire. It'd be our pleasure, of course, to assist you. But if anything, some of y'all just have like one or two questions and just want to double check. Now, if you're asking us to review your forms, that's an actual legal service. That's different. Okay. That's not for the consultation. Some attorneys get scared to do consultations, so I just make it clear in the beginning what the consultation's for. Alrighty. Alejandra, can a permanent resident file for naturalization? I'm sorry. Can a permanent resident apply? Yeah, for citizenship after 1 year serving in the army. We have a free guide, I believe, for thank you for your service. If there's reference to you, you would think I know that, but we have a free guide on that, so please DM us, specific for veterans, and we'll share some information on that. I would think there is something shorter time frame. I don't know if it's shorter than 3 years though, so we'll double check for you. Okay. Mid-A, yes, we do accept MetLife for consultation, actually for service also. Keep in mind, MetLife is a bit quirky. They don't want to share exactly what is covered completely in a sense like the dollar amount. So if in case you're considering our team to help you for the case, please know it's a much smaller amount than what MetLife might convey to you. Okay. So just want to clear that up because a lot of people from MetLife get confused because unfortunately MetLife doesn't explain it very clearly. All right. What's up? What's up, Mr. Jason? Good to see you. Welcome. Chicken soup. What happens if a spouse petitions you? Oh shoot. What was the last part that you just wrote in? Chicken soup. That sounds tasty. We've been eating a lot of that when we get sick. Okay. Oh, I see what you're. Okay. What happens if a spouse petition is withdrawn? So, are chicken soup, are you the beneficiary in that or are you the petitioner? So, based on our mission, we help immigrants live and work in America legally for somehow, I think, because a lot of y'all trust us, of course, fortunately. Let's see here. Oh, I didn't know how to pull. Yeah, so something just popped up on the screen. So, if it's withdrawn, I mean, I don't know. I don't know if ICE is going to go to your house. I don't. Oh, you're the green card holder, so you withdrew the petition for someone else. Okay. I mean, I think that's it then. I don't think you personally have to worry about anything else, as far as I know, unless you have a more specific question. Oh, there it is. It makes it a little larger here. Gabby, Gabby, as current PH student, congrats to you on trying to go through that. Wish you the best. Not trying, but you are going through that. With F1, with a U.S. citizen sibling, is H1B a better route time wise? Well, yeah, because since you have non-immigrant visa right now, it sounds current, obviously. Um, it sounds like you might have a couple. I mean, I know PhD takes a while, so maybe you might have a couple rounds of trying the H1B pathway. I would try that first, okay? And of course, you're going through a doctoral program. Who knows? Maybe you could be eligible for NIW. I know a lot of people have been asking me about NIW, and some people have been, enter America with a visitor visa, and you're like, can I apply while I'm here on a visitor visa? I don't recommend it. Typically, I mean, the standard for NIW is quite high. The standard is quite high, so typically, because of that, USCIS will respond to, I mean, we'll send you RFE, request for evidence. So you probably won't have that much time if you're here on a visitor visa and trying that. Chicken soup, your question is, do they get into removal? So the beneficiary, I'm not sure. There's not enough ICE personnel. So unless you're like, unless you believe it's fraudulent or something like that, or that person got married to you fraudulently or something like that, misled you, then you can report to ICE. But I can't give you all that detail because that's not going through our mission statement. Okay. But yeah, I see your question on that. Average time for I-130 marriage visa. So I-130 is only associated with the marriage visa in the extent that it's the first step of the process. Okay, but it's really with both. If the person's in America, then it's 45. Is the person outside America, then it's consular processing. Okay, DS 260. So average time, if you're saying only I-130, if the person's abroad, 12 months just for I-130. If you're talking the whole thing, could be 2 years. All right, unfortunately. But if you're talking about in America for everything, then you file everything together, which doesn't sound like you did. Then I-130 only, then yeah, probably 12 months also. Okay, so it just depends. But if you did everything together and whatnot, file concurrently, file together, then it's 3 to 5 months, assuming you're a U.S. citizen and he or she entered with the visa. So you can see there's a lot of variables. Christian Candia, will a conditional green card come with a new social security number without work purposes? I haven't been told that. You just use the same social security number. Okay, they're not going to send you a new one. If you're talking about you have to remove your conditions, if you want to get one without that phrase, you have to go essentially ask them for a new one. But I believe you have to go in person for that. It's not an automatic thing. Alexandra, U visa, how long to get a work permit? Well, you have to get that letter from USCIS for bona fide determination. So I know we've had some lawsuits. Okay, for I know a couple other attorneys are doing that to get the bona fide letter. Okay, to get the work permit because of the bona fide letter. So if you don't have the bona fide letter, let's talk. If you do have the bona fide letter, but you apply for work permit, but you still haven't gotten gotten any result, the outcome, the card, then let's talk also. But if it's only been like a month or so, then it's still too early, right? So kind of give me an idea. Let's see here. Bunch of questions. Wonderful. Thanks for your trust to allow us to answer. I'll probably be able to answer about two more questions. Okay, then I gotta take a bite for lunch in the team meeting. Eternal, hello. Can one be sponsored by a potential employer when they have overstayed the visa? Yeah, so that's a very common question as well. Unfortunately, I mean, yes, but it's going to be an uphill battle in a sense that because a lot of people in your scenario, they want to, of course, inherently, I understand you want to get the whole process done here in the US, but eventually you would have to exit. Okay. I don't recommend exiting the United States until you talk to an immigration lawyer because you need to, if you overstay your visa, then you're going to have a problem with unlawful presence. Okay. You need to cure the unlawful presence. The way to do that is to apply for a waiver, 601A. Not everyone is eligible for a waiver. You need a qualifying relative, a spouse or parent who's a U.S. citizen or resident. And you hear spouse, so you're like, well, if I got a spouse, I'll just have the spouse sponsor. So I get that. But some of y'all have a parent, right? And if your parent's a resident, then depending on the scenario, they might not be able to sponsor you. So you might want to consider, that's could be why you're considering employment based. But look, so if you got a qualifying relative, then you could apply for a waiver. But that's going to be much later in the game. And unfortunately, waivers right now are taking average minimum 4 years, 3 to 4 years. It's ridiculous. Before the pandemic, it would take about 8 months. Okay, 8 months or less. But now in the pandemic, they want to keep using the government wants to keep using the excuse that the pandemic caused us to work on these waiver cases for 44 months, which doesn't make sense because if they just look at applications as as pure black and white, like why do some cases take 6 months, some take 12, some take 44 months? Doesn't make sense. It does not make sense at all. It does make sense for U visa because there's a limit of 10,000 visas every year. But for other applications that go that wide ranging, it just does not make sense. So if you have that situation, a long delay on waiver, by the way, or any other case, give us a call. We review eligibility, see if we can file a lawsuit. Not everyone is eligible for that. Even though a lot of people are excited to allow us to sue for you guys. After employment-based green card, do you have to work 5 more years to apply for citizenship? Well, in general, it's 5 years in total for residency. If it's not through marriage, then you can apply for citizenship. Hopefully that answers your question. What's up? Welcome to the show. Welcome to Green Card Guys TV. I'm here to see if I can point you in the right direction. Because maybe you might only have one or two questions, okay? And we're here live Monday through Friday, unless I'm in court or just occupied. Okay, like yesterday I was in court, so I couldn't jump in live. I thought about it when I got to the airport, but then I actually met an old friend. Been like 12 years. It's crazy. What are the chances of that? Have y'all had a situation like that? You applied to remove. Okay, you applied to remove conditions and was given 2 years extent. 2 years? Interesting. Did they go back down? Because for a while it's 4 years. When can you apply for citizenship? Well, in general, if you're still married to the person who sponsored you, then 3 years total of resident status, even if it was including the extension. Okay, 3 years. However, if you have any inkling that you're going to get separated, there's no point to file citizenship now because it's going to get denied, right? So, because they're going to ask you that question at the interview, right? I'm all about trying to save you all fees and trying to file at the right time appropriately so you don't waste your money. How many questions can you ask during consultation? Moy, there is no limit to the number of questions. Um, They're really our strategy sessions are really 15 minutes. But of course, if you have more questions, we're not gonna, we're not gonna cap it, in a sense. But we do have a schedule, and so the next one is usually we usually have a buffer zone. I don't think my team wants to share, but um, we have a buffer zone of 15 minutes. So depending on the day, we might be able to extend it. But if you already know that you definitely need like 30 minutes or an hour, we do charge for that part. Um, but yeah, there's no limit to questions. We're happy to answer as many as we can. Um, if it was me, I would try to do speed round like I do right now. But then if I speak too fast, you might not be able to get all the good info. You don't have enough proof. What's up? You don't have enough proof for N600. Can you apply for N400? Um, I wish it was that simple, but you still want to make sure you're eligible for the N400, which hypothetically you should be. So hopefully that works. I have heard of people that apply for N400 and then you get to interview and the officer's like, well, you're already a citizen. So why you know what I mean? So, well, I shouldn't say it that way, but I've heard of officers saying that. And so that's frustrating because you're like, I'm right here. I already paid the fee. Can you just freaking approve me again? And yeah, they're not going to do it. So if there's proof that you can get from the government that, or the proof you need is from the government, then I would submit a FOIA, FOIA, Freedom of Information Act. That's the old school way that journalists got information or like public information requests before Twitter. Um, if you know exactly what you want, then FOIA from USCIS, it could take them like 1 or 2 months. But if you just say like you want your entire immigration file, it generally takes longer. Your parents are coming from USA, B2, you're a US citizen. Can you apply a green card for your parents? Absolutely. Absolutely, cutie pie, you can. Okay, you can do that. So, but you want to get the timing right in the sense that, number one, I'm glad they have a B2 already. Some people ask me this question and they're like, my parents can't get, or my family can't get a visitor visa. So they're stuck in the process much longer. Once they come here, I'll apply green card. How long will it take them green card? Since it's not marriage based, it could take about a year process. So, cutie pie, you really want to make sure that your parents are in it for the long haul because I know some elders, they're like, yeah, we'll come hang out with you. We'll come spend some time with you. And then they're like, yo, it's been like 2 months. I want to get out. And you're like, yo, I just filed all this paperwork for you. And parents are a little bit adamant. So you want to make sure that you tell them like, look, I said 12 months, right? On average, if they get approved even sooner, that's great. But you want to give them some reasonable expectation, right? Just like you asked me, because it would not be good if they overstay their visa and then they leave. That's not good. So make sure you get them on the same page. Okay, cutie pie. All right, let's see. Okay, Jack, I see your comment here. You did FOIA twice. Said there's no approval or denial. Does it mean FOIA takes time to get updated? Well, I'm assuming you did the FOIA after you got some kind of notification online that there was a decision notice or you received a decision mail in error. I mean, yeah, maybe, I guess. How long? Well, when did you file your I-360 application? I mean, if it was less than 12 months, then it's probably an error of that status update online because it's very rare that someone's going to get approved or have a decision on VAWA that soon. So hopefully that helps for some context. But if it took longer than 12 months and you got that status online, then that is strange. How can I reach you by phone call? Yeah, absolutely. So our website is greencardguys.com, or, I'm new school. I'm on all these different platforms. You could DM us, and, especially if you're driving, don't text and drive. I guess you could listen to TikTok and drive. but DM us later and we'll send you our information. Okay, folks. So safety first. Okay, and that's what I tell my kids too. Oh, they're somewhere. They're a trip. There's so much work. If you're a parent, shout out to you. Shout out to you. I wish you all the best. Marcaz, did I answer your question? Where are you at? Let's see. What's your other question? Sounds good, Moy. Appreciate it. Maria, can you find Marcaz? Oh, there it is. I found it. You applied for asylum. Do you have to wait 180 days if you were paroled for work permit? Um, for work permit, you do have to wait 100. Is it 180? Maybe it could have been 150. Let's see. Yes, 150. Where you can, if you've been filed the asylum application 589, it's been 150 days. Then you can file the EAD, but they can't actually give it to you until it's been 180 days. I don't. That's ridiculous. Why do they have that? Paroled? I don't. Yeah, asylum is for folks who have entered the visa or did not. So the visa part doesn't matter, or parole does not matter. It doesn't affect you in that sense. Okay. All right. I can answer one more question for now, folks. Thank you so much for your patience. And oh, Jack, yeah, that's been a while. 2 months. I mean, 2 years at least. So yeah, most likely there was a decision. Okay. Well, makes Jack one tip for you. Um, I think it's done online. My team does the FOIAs now. I don't have to do that, but if it's done online or on paper, there's a specific question. Essentially, like, what are you asking for? You need to write in decision notice of the I-360. Okay. Don't write in approval notice or denial notice because it gets too specific. Imagine it like a robot. You got to put specific language, put it in correct language, but don't not go too specific. So hopefully it helps. Or you can just put any 797C notice for I-360 as opposed to saying the entire alien file, immigrant file. All right, Jack, good luck to you. Okay, one more question. Do they allow you to get married if your visa expired? Hey, farm girl. So no one. So the county is the one in charge of issuing you the license to get married. That's where you apply. At least in Texas, I think it's like $82, something like that in the county. Okay. Now, so the county does not communicate with USCIS or Department of State to say, hey, this person is eligible or not. So that's a good thing. So they don't check your visa status. The county does not check your visa status. I know these days with all the conservative states like Texas, Florida, there's a lot of talk. There's been laws passed about anti-immigration, unfortunately. So, but that does not mean, as far as I've read so far, none of that has to do with the county clerks reviewing immigration status. It's only been like police essentially to check, but I know police don't want to check. Anyway, the county is not going to check your immigration status. And yeah, we have plenty of clients that overstay a visa and then get married after the fact. So hopefully that helps you out. All right, folks. Thank you so much for your time and trust, and for me to answer your questions. I'm going to be back on live tomorrow and Friday. So if you have any questions, then let me know. By the way, if you have talked to any of our team members, especially our CARES team and attorneys before, please give a shout out, share your experience, give your feedback so others can know how we, treat you with respect is our goal. And of course, share customer service. Go to reviewtinglaw.com, reviewtinglaw.com. We really appreciate it. Thank you so much. All right, and we'll see you tomorrow. See you later, Tony. Take care. Uh, uh,